Hello, listeners. Welcome to season 2 of the Masters Decoded podcast. I am Manish Merchant, the chief decoder. I want to thank you for the overwhelming response to season 1. Your feedback and encouragement led me to bring you season 2 of the Masters Decoded. The season will tap into how technology, artificial intelligence, and other socio-economic factors have impacted my guests' careers or passions. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of inviting Shubham Jaglan, an Indian amateur golfer who won the Junior World Golf Championships in 2015. Jaglan is also a world record holder, 9 under in Classic Junior Open 2012, and is recipient of the NDTV Emerging Player and Margdarshan awards. Jaglan has won over 100 domestic and international tournaments. In 2020, he was awarded the Child Prodigy Award in the category of golf. Hear the story to be dazzled. Hi Shubham, welcome to Masters Decoded, the special series on Little Masters. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Anis. It's my pleasure to be here. Really looking forward to the rest of the podcast.
Great, Shubham. Uh, and for the benefit of my audience, uh, I don't know many of them remember you from the show Satyamave Jayate, which had aired many years ago, where you had featured as a child with Amir Khan. But you had recited your golfing career, how it got started. But I would love to hear that again because I have the pleasure of getting you on board today. How did your golfing career really start? What
Yeah.
got you started there?
So I'm 16 years old currently, and I was about 5 years old when I started golf. I come
Hmm.
from a wrestling family. My village is about 18 kilometers west of Panipat, called Israna.
Hmm.
So when I was around 5, there was an NRI who opened a golf academy. His idea was to basically introduce golf at the grassroots levels. And so the academy was just outside my village, and my grandfather was the one who was very keen in getting me started in this new sport that was in town.
Okay.
And apparently he was fed up of having so many wrestlers, so we decided to give it a shot. And wrestling was an option always, so I could fall back. um, so I started going to the academy, really enjoyed it. um, they gave us equipment. We had a coach there, and the academy shut down in only 2 months
Wow.
because later on, when people realized how expensive golf can be, everybody sort of backed out. And I
Hmm.
was part of the bandwagon. We could not afford playing such an expensive sport because initially the payment was very low. We didn't have to pay much to come to the academy and practice. But so when the academy was shutting down, the founder of the academy had come in town, and he had a chat with my dad. And
Hmm.
he basically explained how he saw a lot of talent, and he felt that I should continue playing golf. And that's where it started. We thought, if such a big person thinks I should continue playing golf, maybe he has a point. And he gave me some hand-me-down clubs, and that's how the journey started.
Great. So you spoke about something which caught my attention. Uh,
Yeah,
you mentioned that you were living in the village at that time, and which is 18 kilometers away from Panipat. And you also
yeah.
come from a family of wrestlers. And I'm sure your grandfather was a wrestler himself. Uh, why why not wrestling? Why did he choose another sport? Why did he say he was fed up of so many wrestlers?
Yeah. Grandfather wasn't a wrestler, um,
Okay.
but yeah, just he wanted me to try something new. Um, my mom was always keen on me avoiding wrestling because she was afraid I'd get injured, and because it's such an aggressive sport.
Hmm.
And plus, the training in Haryana is very rigorous and very old school sort of.
Yep.
Now it's transformed a little bit, but she was always afraid I'd get injured and I'd get beaten up. So, golf was just something very novel at that time. Nobody had heard of the sport in around my village. The only recognizable person was probably Tiger Woods. Everybody had heard of him. But yeah, just something novel, just something to try out. And I'm glad he brought it up because I wouldn't be
Okay.
here on this podcast without it.
No, this is beautiful, and thanks to your grandfather that that he motivated you and allowed you to get into it, which is amazing. And also to your the NRI coach who actually started that entire journey for you at that young age. Uh, and I've read about you and your family. You're also traders in milk. Uh, that is part of that is the business, the family business as well. But wrestling and being a traders in milk, have you seen that impacting
Yeah.
or really helping out in the entire golfing career of yours?
Um, no, I do come from humble beginnings, and I think that has sort of helped me stay grounded
Hmm.
throughout the little success that I've had. And although wrestling and golf don't have much in common, they both are still a sport.
Yep.
And just the fact that my family was involved in a sport before even I was born really helped me, carry on some of the main sort of mindset that you should have if you're going to compete in any sport. And that really helped me later on in my career. Just having a go after it mindset and just being very resilient, something that I was taught very early on, really helped me later on when I was competing.
Before we started doing the recording, I did share some of my stories on golfing, Shubham, and I can
Right,
I can
right.
vouch for one thing that specifically when it comes to golfing, it is and it requires fitness levels of a different kind. If you're playing it for leisure, if you're playing it for
Yeah,
fun, or just to connect with friends and colleagues, then that's okay. But if you're playing it professionally, it it does require a certain level of fitness levels. And if I look at all professional golfers, their fitness levels are of a different kind. And I
hmm
have read a lot about the fitness requirements, so I'm sure the culture, the aspect of in your family about the sports really helped. But I just want to double click a little bit further. How did that you know academy shutting down uh, deter, or where did you practice? Because at that time, yeah, and especially the place you were, there was not many greens out there where you could really play putting, or you could actually practice your swings.
right,
You can still putt. There is nothing wrong. In a ground you can still, but the swing and hitting the ball really makes the big piece, right? How did you plan for that?
right. So that's a very, very true point. Everything just shut down,
Hmm.
and the coach we had or the facilities that we had there were gone as well.
Okay.
So all I had was a little bit of equipment, and the rest of the stuff I had to come up with myself.
Hmm.
So since I didn't have any coaches, I turned to YouTube,
Okay.
and I'd see instructional videos on YouTube and sort of try it out. If something worked, I'd carry on with it. Something didn't, I'd leave it and move on to the next video. Um, and practicing, farming fields wherever you could find some empty fields.
Okay.
I'd go there for practice. And there was a college just outside my village which had a open about 150-yard ground
Okay.
where I took permission to practice as well.
Okay.
So, and back home, I had a little backyard where we set up mats.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones you see in weddings,
Yeah.
the green red sort of carpets,
Yeah.
we bought some of those and put them on the ground because the otherwise the green was very slow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'd practice. And in the backyard, we put three holes.
Okay.
So just took big, large steel pipes, cut them down in three sizable chunks and put them down in the ground.
Hmm.
So it was all very makeshift, but it worked, I guess.
It worked. Uh,
Yeah.
so building on that, Shubham, at that age, okay, while you were practicing, while you were going at it, how did you participate in tournaments or in professional setup at that young age? How did you got yourself aware about it? And in India, especially at that time, even 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I don't think so. There were many children or kids playing golf also. Now it's become big. But at that time, there was not many. So how did you participate or how did you go about getting into that tournaments?
So the nearest golf course um to my village was about 2.5 hours away in
Okay.
Karnal, and so I'd go there sometimes on the weekends, and there were other golfers there on the golf course. So I'd talk with them, and one of the guys suggested the Indian Golf Union, which is our national body,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have junior events.
Okay.
But at that time, they didn't have a category which was available. Like so I had to play in the 10 to 12 category
Oh.
when I was around 6 or 7.
Hmm.
Um, that too after taking special permission. They thought I'd ruin the golf course or I won't know how to play. So I had to fight to get the tournament as well. But yeah, we had a few Indian Golf Union events around the country, and that's where I played. And that's how I got in touch with the Golf Foundation, which I'm part of today. And that's how the journey went further, and I moved to Delhi.
How did your mother, who was very caring about you, looking at her child, getting that attention, but also doing well, but had to move away from your own house to Delhi and other parts to travel for playing games or participate in games? How did she feel about all of that, or how did your larger extended family feel about that?
So initially, when I started playing golf, not everybody was very supportive of it
Hmm.
because again, it was a very alien game. Nobody had heard of it, and I think the toughest part in my career so far has been the shift to Delhi. Um, my coach today, Nonita Lal Qureshi, she got in touch with me through the Golf Foundation. She was a scout at that time for the foundation,
Wow,
and I've been with her uh, under her wings for like 6 7 years now.
nice.
But when they offered that I should move to Delhi so that I could get better facilities, get better education, it was a great opportunity. But for my parents, they had to move from the village to a completely new city, and I think that was the most difficult part because at that point we didn't have any guarantees of success. I'd won a few tournaments here and there, but to shift to Delhi, just betting on my talent was a big decision, and for them to have shown so much faith at that point was very helpful. And I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for that.
So golfing is pretty big in the Indian community, especially people, and it's been there for a long, long time. Uh, but having children participate and building careers in golfing, you might have had other hardships as well. Because in any sport, you need sponsorships, you need people backing you up, you need that ecosystem to go ahead and drive that. And today, within India, there are only few sports who typically get that kind of an
Yeah,
ecosystem and that support. So apart from you having that
yeah,
personal hardship, you would have had a lot of other professional hardships as well. Uh, Share a little bit more about that because those
right.
are the real problems in sports generally in India. Because today India is highly tilted towards certain sports. I would not say one anymore, certain handful of them. But
Yeah,
golfing and many other these niche sports, I would call them niche in India, still don't have that uh,
Yeah,
stature or that support which probably is required. So, what were those professional support?
that's very true.
Yeah.
Um, whenever I talk about, yeah, whenever I talk about my journey, I feel I've been very lucky to have been surrounded by such amazing people. As I mentioned, my coach, Noni ma'am,
Mhm.
and the Golf Foundation, Mr. Amit Luthra is the founder, and he's been my mentor for again ever since I joined the foundation.
Mhm.
And to have the foundation and my coach around me throughout the journey, when I shifted to Delhi, and they got me playing rights at the Delhi Golf Club, which is my home course today. And again, the members there, the committee has been very supportive of my journey, um, and they've given me the best of facilities available, and they've provided financial support as well. So for me to have had such a great ecosystem and a great team around me was very helpful, because as you rightly said, it's very difficult to do all of this on your own.
Mm.
Even though golf is an individual sport, you do need a very, very strong team around you to
Yep.
be successful. And I think, having the golf club, having the foundation, having my coach around me was immensely helpful.
That is very well said. And today, I would just probably ask. There are, I'm sure, like you said, that there was an individual who came into your village and wanted to go ahead and set up golfing and introduce golfing at the grassroots. But today, golfing is still not achieved that grassroots change which is required in India. But let's say if there are young aspirants who think about golfing or who would love to get into golfing, what would your advice be to them?
Um, I think it's a great sport, um, regardless, if you want to play it professionally or just for leisure. The connections that I've made, the people that I've met, um, talking to you today, I wouldn't have had this opportunity if it weren't for golf. So just the ability to travel so much and meet new people is just something that I really admire about the sport. And anyone who thinks of golf seriously and wants to take it up as a career, it's just as hard as any other sport. But if you really like it, and if you enjoy it, I think it's a great, great career. And you know, you have to work really hard. Um, I realized that pretty early on,
Hmm.
and a lot of sacrifices you have to make, um, whether that be not going to school parties, or having to work out instead of taking a day off. Just the common stuff you see in any sport.
Yep.
But when you make those sacrifices, I think what you get out of it is definitely worth it. And yeah, just again, as I mentioned earlier, if you have a strong team around you, if you have some really good people around you, um, that's the only way you can be successful. Because as I said, even though it's an individual sport, you do need a team around you to help you succeed.
That is well said, Shubham. So, since you spoke about school and spoke about things you have missed in school, uh, how did you
Yeah.
explain golfing to your peers in school and your friends, which I'm sure they were also
Hmm.
not aware of? And at the same time, now when they see you playing, how does
Yeah.
it feel? And what has been that change been? Because you're still young, and I'm sure you would be getting in your college pretty soon, the undergrad path and the high school path pretty soon. So how has that
Yes.
aspect of life been for you?
So when I moved to Delhi, the foundation helped me get into the Lakshman Public School,
Hmm.
and I have to say my school has been really supportive of everything that I do, because when I play with my friends on the golf course, I always hear them bickering about how their school teacher is just never giving them permission to play tournaments, or really pestering them about finishing the homework or giving that retest. But my school has been immensely supportive. They've given me extra classes In fact, I didn't know how to speak English when I came to Delhi. And my principal, Dr. Usha Ram, she gave me special English classes since I was in fourth grade, and yeah, that was immensely helpful. But um, I think I got a lot of media attention when I was in school, so everybody sort of knew that I was pretty good.
Mm.
But they'd start doubting if I was still in school because when I'd play tournaments for about when I'd go to the US for the World Championships, I'd miss school for about 2 months,
Mm.
and many of them would doubt I left school.
Okay.
But when I came back, everybody was very supportive. I had a few good friends who'd lend me their homework and let me cheat. Um,
That's great.
but yeah, um, I definitely did miss out on a lot of stuff. But I believe, as I said earlier, it was all worth it.
So, we'll come to the current stage today and your future. But you
Hmm.
did speak about going to US
Yes,
to play the game, and I believe it was the IMG
correct.
Academy World Junior Golf Championship in San Diego, California, where you actually won the
Yes,
championship as well, uh,
yes.
for India. Uh, a boy from a village very close to Panipat coming to Delhi, which is a city in itself, and then going to US. How was that? Because there's a lot to take in. There is a lot of overwhelming, and there is a lot of fame coming with it. There is a lot of attention coming with it. How did that pressure build up during the game, or was there no pressure on you at that time?
Um, no, I've always there was always pressure for sure. Um, Firstly, getting my visa was a mammoth task.
Yeah.
Mr. Luthra and the foundation really helped me get through. And after three tries, I finally got my visa.
Wow.
And first time I went to the States, I came pretty close, and that was my first time playing such a big international event. So I realized I was decently. I played pretty well, and I sort of got an idea of what the competition was and what was expected of me to perform well.
Mm.
And coming so close was, I mean, even at such a young age, was pretty devastating. I remember crying in my hotel room and having a chat with God, apparently, on why my luck was so bad that day.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, when won in 2015, it was something that I dreamed of because a lot of the idols that I look up to, like Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, had won that tournament,
Wow.
and I'd come close a few times before. So to pull that off and sort of prove myself on international grounds that I could win and that I could compete with all these people was immensely helpful. Yeah.
So Shubham, just for the knowledge, as at that level, junior level, do you all still play 18 or you all play 9?
We play 18,
18.
3 days, 18 holes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, now in the men's category, I
Okay.
play in a higher division, but in the men's category, yeah, we play 4 days, so the same as the professionals.
Okay. Beautiful. Now let's talk a little bit about your current, because the future is still bright and there's still a lot to be done for you, Shubham. Uh, I believe I have heard that you've got an admission in one of the colleges in Florida, where you'll be pursuing your high school as well as your undergrad and many more, and probably your postgraduate also if everything works out. But you're also going to further your career in golfing there as well. So, why US of all the countries in the world? Because golfing is everywhere as well, but why US specifically?
Coach Noni ma'am has always been keen on sending me to the US to play
Okay.
college golf.
Okay.
All the great players that are on the tour right now, Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, all of them have come through the college system.
Hmm.
So she was always keen on sending me there and playing Division One college golf.
Hmm.
Um, I was a bit hesitant
Okay.
Initially, I wanted to turn pro early, um, but later on, um, in fact, during the lockdown, I started reading a lot, and after talking to some people who had gone to the US and who'd done well,
Hmm.
I sort of realized the importance of having a good education behind you, as well as the perks of playing college golf. You know,
Okay.
the competition there is just surreal. The quality of facilities and the tournaments that you get to play is unmatched.
Okay.
That's something that I wouldn't have access to in India. So I decided on pursuing college golf, and in October I signed with the University of South Florida, and you know my connection with the head coach there, Coach Bradley, was amazing, and I feel it'll be a great place for me to sort of improve my golf and compete at the highest level while getting an amazing education as well.
Hmm. You did speak about that, the experience has been surreal. How have you balanced the all the attention which you have got over the years? Even coming on a show as big as Satyameva Jayate with Amir Khan, to recent and what the future beholds. How have you balanced that attention and ensure that it doesn't come in your way?
Yeah, it's difficult
Hmm.
because it does sort of get to your head, even though you try not to. Um, but again, having the amazing team I had around me, Mr. Luthra was always, he always made sure that I didn't have any tournaments or any exams in between any of my interviews, and he made sure that I stayed grounded. And my coach, Nonita Lal, she was very keen on sort of me staying humble and sticking to my grassroots, and just going back to my village very often, and sort of knowing where I come from has really helped, and just being proud of who I am and the sort of family history that I have, and not trying to fit in has really helped me, I feel.
Okay.
And yeah, again, just having the amazing people I have around me just mentor me throughout any doubts or difficulties that I had was immensely helpful, because I know a lot of people who did sort of let the fame get in their way,
Hmm.
and it didn't work out very well for them. So I feel again I'm very lucky to have these amazing people around me.
So you spoke about mentors, and I'm going to put you on a spot here. Pardon me
Sure.
for that, Shubham. Who's one person you look up to, as a mentor or as a guide, and it can be within the current circle or it's somebody else you may be looking up to as well. Whom would you call that one person?
It would be very difficult to name one person.
Yeah.
Um, there'd be a tie between uh, Mr. Luthra, the head of the foundation,
Hmm.
and my coach, Noni ma'am. Um, I feel I've had a lot of chats with my coach, not just about golf, but my overall attitude and how I handle studies, and what I should do in life as well. Just the type of person that I should aspire to be. And with Mr. Luthra as well, we've gone a lot of trips together for foundation events, and just getting to spend time with him is amazing. The amount of knowledge he has, um, and how he's guided me through a lot of situations has been really helpful. Um, so yeah, those are the two people I'd say my idols.
Great. And through this journey, Shubham, I'm sure you would have had moments, or you would have had, those things which really have got etched in your heart. Can you share one of the best moments, uh, which you look back and you smile and it makes you happy?
Um, my I'd say my first trip with the national Indian team to
Hmm.
Australia. It was a 2 week trip, and that was my first time playing in such big amateur events.
Hmm.
I'd played in junior events, but these were men's senior events, and the Australian Amateur is one of the biggest events in amateur golf.
Hmm.
Uh, so going there with the national team, all on my own. Usually my dad travels with me. So
Okay.
going there by myself and playing there was an amazing experience. The biggest learning I had there was, my game wasn't very far away from the people I met there. Wasn't a night day difference. I felt just few improvements here and there, and I could be playing just as well as them.
Hmm.
And that was a big confidence booster because meeting such these were the people who were soon going to turn pro and do amazing on the pro circuit.
Okay.
So knowing that I was maybe if not as good as them, pretty close, and that I was heading in the right path. But to name one instance, I'd say I'd have to go back to the World Championship IMG, um, where I was not in a good spot in the last few holes, and standing on the last tee, I had to birdie that hole to sort of to win
Hmm.
and par for a playoff. Um, and earlier I'd made two birdies to be in that position. So it was like scoring, I don't know, 20, 25 runs in 1 over
Hmm.
for the cricket fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But um, that was the first time I was around such a large gallery, and I hit my shot onto the green. It was a tough pin, and had about a 20-foot putt left to right downhill. I still remember it, and the- I never felt such pressure before. But I lined it up and I walked up to the ball. I hit it, and I remember just the whole moment being very slow. Like the ball took forever to get to the bloody hole, and it stopped right before and just trickled in. Um,
Wow.
it was an amazing moment. Everybody started shouting. I was elated, and I knew I'd won the tournament. So to have performed under pressure and to have done it in the US at a tournament that I really wanted to win was amazing. So that's one experience that's etched in my heart, I'd say.
The way you just explained it, and people who haven't played golf, at least I have had dabbled my hands into it. The way you explained it, Shubham, I could really feel that I was there watching your last putt or your last shot actually going in for a birdie. So, no, great. That is definitely a
Yeah.
beautiful moment. Uh, so, Shubham, what's okay? While golfing, also, and this is probably going to be, some parting thoughts from your side. One of the interesting thing about golf is that it can be played forever. There is no age barrier to it. Uh, is that what your aim is as well? That you want to play golf forever, or is there something else also you want to dabble your hands in too?
Uh, my goal is to turn professional after college,
Okay.
and yeah, definitely just playing for as long as I can is something that I definitely aspire to do. There is as you said, there's a senior tour for people over 50,
Yep.
and again, there's tough competition there as well.
Yeah.
So, what I really love is just competing. Um, you know, whether that be in golf or in school or in anything that I get my hands into. Um, just getting better and performing well is something that I really like doing. So, if I can continue playing golf and still compete even when I'm 60, I want nothing more than that. Um, yeah, that's the goal. I haven't thought about anything else apart from golf so far. I don't know, is that bad?
I don't think so, actually. many of us uh, actually find how we can follow our passion forever. And I think you are one of those individuals who's able to mix passion and profession together. So I would say don't deter from it. If golf is your passion, and I could hear that from this conversation, uh,
Yeah.
don't deter from it.
Yeah.
Keep it on. No, this has been
Perfect.
this has been
Perfect.
this has been an amazing conversation, Shubham. Thank you for taking time out. I know you are soon
Likewise, sir.
starting off your profession. I believe there is a game coming up. There's a tournament coming up for which you have to
Yes.
practice, and taking time out from that busy schedule for this session. I'm really glad and happy that you did. Uh, so yeah, I'm sure there will be a lot of individuals who will be reaching out to know whether it's grown-ups like us. How can we put up our kids in the golfing, or
Yeah.
youngsters who would want to get your advice? So hopefully you'll be able to guide them and show them the path which you have taken.
Yes. I really appreciate this. It was a pleasure for me to gotten to know you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on to the podcast.
Thank you, Shivam. You have a good day and best of luck with your tournament.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.